Hello students, parents, policymakers and NTA. Welcome to BTech 360 and Medical 360. A lot of conversation has been on for the past few days about the paper leak of NEET examination. A lot of thought of why it leaks and what can be done to stop that leak, and the fact that it's such a large examination that it is very difficult to control any leakage that can happen, and many conversations that are happening. Now, the very important thing that we must do is there a similar examination anywhere in the world, and how are they dealing with a similar situation? And obviously, because of the kind of scale and population that China has, we refer back to China. Because in China, there is one examination where about 13.33 million students take the examination. That is 6 times more than NEET. NEET has 23 lakh examination takers, and this one has 13.35 million exam takers. And everything is conducted simultaneously, and most importantly, it's pen and paper. We talk of how CBT is, the computer-based testing is the most secure model that India has, because we experimented with that with JEE Advanced, and we think that NEET is the paper leakage is higher chances because it is a pen and paper and physicality of the whole thing. But China conducts an examination for 13.35 million students across the board in one single sitting over multiple days, because there are multiple papers that they have to take, right? And they do it simultaneously across thousands of centers, about 100,000 plus rooms, and most importantly, it's pen and paper. How do they do that? And how do they protect the examination integrity? How do they ensure that the integrity of the examination itself is not compromised? What I'm going to do now is to actually give you a snapshot or a comparison between Gaokao, which is the examination that China conducts, with NEET, and also I'm adding JEE for good measure. Let's understand this model to begin with. We're talking of Gaokao, JEE and NEET, and what is the world's toughest examination? By the way, Gaokao is not seen as the toughest examination. It is seen as the world's largest and most competitive standardized test. Here, speed, accuracy are very important. Discipline is very important, right? Sticking to the schedule is very important. Consistency is much more important, and so on and so forth. In 2026, about 13.35 million students will take the test. The examination on June 6th, 7th, and 8th, and 9th, and about 13.35 million. Now, look at that from the NEET lens. NEET is 2.3 million. So, Gaokao is 6 times more. 6 times more. And everything is pen and paper and across the board in a single sitting. It serves as the primary criteria for university admission. So, Gaokao is not just for medical or engineering and all. It is one single standardized test with different subjects coming in at different layers, so that you can make the right choice. So, a science student will get science exams, arts student will get another paper. But it's conducted simultaneously, right? And the exam has get international recognition with scores accepted by over 1,000 plus universities across the globe. Not just in China, but 1,000 plus universities actually have a column which says Gaokao score. So these students who've taken the Gaokao examination can also use that score to get an admission beyond China into other international universities. And about 40 plus countries are where these 1,000 universities are located. Including institutions in the US, UK, Canada, and Australia, many other countries, 40 plus countries, accept the Gaokao score. And many international universities incorporate Gaokao scores into their holistic admission process. So as I said, the way you have SAT and GMAT and everything, you also have a Gaokao score as one of the columns so that students can fill in. So that is the kind of credibility that this examination has garnered since it started in 1977. Now, why is it so important? Let's look at the numbers to begin with. I told you, Gaokao is 13.35 million. Now, this is 1.53 million. So this is, if you just look at it, it's 9 times over. Against JEE, it is 9 times over. And against NEET, it's 6 times over. So the scale and size of the operation is extremely high. But still, the integrity of the examination was never compromised. We got it in 2024, we got it in 2026. This examination with 6 times the size and scale, and again, remember, pen and paper. It's never been compromised. How do they manage that? We'll talk about that as we move along. Now, just to put things in context, this 13.35 million students compete to be either in a bachelor level seats, which is 5.01 billion, or beyond bachelor level, you actually have vocational or junior college also. That adds up to the balance 5 points. In all, the 13.35 million students compete to be in this 10.69 billion. The best students go possibly here, and then you actually have vocational and junior college and those kind of things. The accepted rates is 79.20. So the number of seats that you have for the 13.35 million students who are appearing is about 10.7 million, of which the number of seats that you have for undergraduation program, what you call bachelor level program, is about 5 million. So you have about 37% students getting into the bachelor level programs. The others are getting into junior colleges or vocational. So that is the scale, size, and the opportunity for which the students are competing for. Now, put that in context for NEET. NEET is about 23 lakh students and about 1.4 lakh to 1.35 lakh to 1.4 lakh seats for MBBS. JEE, if you recall, about 1.5 million take the examination. If you add NITs, IITs, GFTs and all, we're dealing with about 75-80,000 seats. Here, we're dealing with essentially about all put together. By the way, these all universities, because it is one single examination that gets you an admission into every single university in China, the good, bad and ugly. Every other vocational program in China, the good, bad and ugly. Every junior college in China with the good, bad and ugly. It depends on your score, your rank. Like Tsinghua University has an acceptance rate of about 1:70 or 1:80 because it's the best, the most sought after university. And that's how the scores work. But one single examination which opens doors to every single higher education opportunity within China. And that is why it's the most important examination, because acceptance rate is so. Now, how does this work out? We talked of acceptance rate. In mainland China, the undergrad universities, which are bachelor level universities, is 1,365 institutions. And undergrad institutions officially listed by China, this is as of 2025, by the way. And then you have mainland China higher education institutions, including vocational colleges. This is 2919. So now this 1365 is a part of 2919. And mainland China, all higher education institutions is 3167. This 3167 includes 2919 and 1365 also, right? Which 2919 also includes 1365. So we're dealing with 3167 plus institutions. And outside China, 40 plus countries, regions, and 1000 plus institutions. This is what is accepted. So some students go out obviously, but this is the kind of institutions that are accepting this particular score. Like when you talk of JEE Main, you talk of about 35, 40, 50, 100 institutions, like all put together, NITs, GFTs, IITs and all put together is about 100 plus institutions. And add a few other JOSA counseling thing also, you're dealing with about maybe 1,000 institutions. These are about 3,161 institutions. And across the board, it can be liberal arts, it can be arts, it can be commerce, it can be science, it can be medical, anything. Everything comes within this board. The scale of operation that Chinese institutions has is much larger than what you have in India. That's a big difference, and it's the same thing for every other opportunity that China actually wants to get into. Now, what is the comparison? Mode of examination is pen and paper. This is a very big thing. Just imagine 13.35 million students sitting in an examination over 3 days or 2 days, depending on the kind of pattern that they've chosen. And every day they come, they take the examination and go away, and same examination is being done, right? And the most important thing, which I'll tell you as I move along, it's a single stage examinations. That's a clear thing, right? These are in 2 stages, JEE Main and JEE Advanced for IITs, but JEE Main, of course, stops at NITs and GFTs. And this is a single stage exam also. So this 13.35 million students sit at single stage. And the students choose 3+1+2, which is a new model that's come up, or 3+3, which is a traditional model. I'll also explain to you on that. The total marks is 750 marks or 750 points. We have 300 and 720. The question types are MCQs, short answer, and essays. In pen and paper, that works out. You have essays also, which we never have because we're only dealing with MCQs. And that's where you actually see the massive difference between the kind of school score that you get and the kind of score that you get in an entrance examination. Because entrance examination, we just want it to be very easy, and also we always do MCQs. And MCQs is much more easier, but when you have to write essays, it's a slightly different thing, which is what? But they still judge you based on the essay also. There is no negative marking. We have negative marking, right? Exam duration is 2 to 4 days total, depending on what pattern you choose. Here is 3 hours and 6 hours total, including advanced. And here is 3 hours 20 minutes. Here it's all put together. In fact, this exam duration is about 9 hours to 10 hours 15 minutes. As I told you, it's a test of endurance. It's a test of mental stress that can you take such kind of a mental stress, because it's very long drawn. Which is where the first thing that I said, it's one of the longest examination and the most largest standardized test that you have in the world. And the conducting body is Ministry of Education, along with a few other things, right? Here we actually have what they call NTA. Otherwise, here the conducting body is Ministry of Education there. So Ministry of Education takes responsibility if something goes wrong. In our case, there's an NTA to take the blame. And if everything conducts, then you'll have a minister coming and talking of how they conducted it successfully. That's the difference here. Now the next thing, what is the crackdown? So one of the things that Cao understood was that if there's a single entrance examination, there'll be inequity if there's a prevalence of coaching. Because coaching can influence the result, and some people who do not have access to coaching or cannot afford coaching will always suffer. So what they did was in 2021, they brought in a regulation, a massive regulation that killed every single coaching institution that you have. What did they do? Because they realized that the Gaokao is becoming more and more important, that it actually determines the fate of the student. So what did they do? The first thing they said is they stopped accepting any application for a new coaching center. You cannot start a new coaching center. The second thing they did was existing centers, which are for-profit companies, were converted to not-for-profit. If you want to continue, we first change that entire status to not-for-profit. That is very crucial, because then what happens is people who are teaching because it's a service and not because they want to profiteer out of this. Then what did they do? They said there's bar in capital markets. So tutoring companies were prohibited from going public. So you can't list in your own country, and two, you cannot take foreign money. So the money is not coming in, and there is no wealth being created, right? And timing restrictions. Off-campus tutoring could not be conducted during national festivals and holidays. So you can't be sitting in some distant place. It can be a Sikar or Kota or Vijayawada, whatever it is, and say that I'm here. On holidays, there cannot be a coaching center that is active, which means that even a hostel cannot be active. So they basically kill coaching from that perspective. Most importantly, much of what we do is to create a public perception in terms of the success of coaching. What these people did was they said, you cannot advertise your product. So what they did, mainstream media, online platforms, billboards and residential areas were prohibited from publishing tutoring advertisements. So if you're a coaching company, you can't advertise about that. You can't advertise your success. You can't do anything about it. You're not creating a perception to sell a product. You cannot sell a product, or you can't market a product. The moment you do that, only based on how good you are, people will come in. And by the way, remember, it's a not-for-profit company also. And you cannot raise money out of it. You can't go to capital markets. You can't raise foreign money. So what they did was they actually banned mainstream media, outline platforms, and were prohibited from publishing tutoring advertisements. And online classes were limited in duration and required to end by 9 p.m. So when I hear that students were studying at 12 in the night and 2 in the night in coaching centers and all, they said, listen, there has to be equal treatment of students studying in a school also. There should be good time for the student to actually learn in the school also. So they said the two business models that are there in school and coaching has to merge at some level, which is where they did this. So based on this, there was a massive crackdown on coaching in 2021. And since then, Gaokao became the most credible examination, more so ever than ever. Right? So the commercial gains coming out of coaching were curbed. Unlike the government of India, where we are earning 18% on GST because there is more coaching, the government of China doesn't want to earn any money out of a student's life. What they did simply was, I don't want you to run coaching. Assuming you're running coaching, it should be not for profit. I don't want any share out of it, but just make sure that it is curbed. They're not promoting coaching by creating an examination. The examination was for transparency and fairness and equity also. They ensured that through this model. And to that extent, we are far, far behind in our thinking, in a vision of how an entrance examination has to be conducted, why it should be conducted, how it can be fair and equitable to all kind of people while ensuring transparency, and how the government would not also profiteer out of the plight of a student. All this were being taken care of through this particular model. Now, what's the next thing that they did? The traditional Gaokao model, by the way, we talked of 9 hours. One of the good things about this particular examination is that Chinese, mathematics, and foreign language is compulsory. So you might do arts, but maths is compulsory. You might do STEM, but Chinese and foreign language is compulsory. So wherever you come from, the government of China felt that these three are compulsory for you to actually move up in your life. So Chinese language, which is local language, then a foreign language, it's for your choice to decide which is the foreign language, and mathematics is compulsory for every student. So all the 13.35 million students actually take a test in math. All the 13.35 lakh students take a test in Chinese. And all the 13.35 lakh students take a test in one of the foreign languages. And then, if you're a science student, you can actually do science, or if you're an art student, you can do an arts thing. So there are a few subjects there, which is physics, chemistry, biology, zoology, and all for science student. And arts also has a similar set of numbers. And you can choose one of them and take the fourth test. In all, for Chinese is 150 minutes, is 2.5 hours. Then you have mathematics, which is 2 hours. Then you have, arts or science, depending on your choice of what you want to pursue, to be 2.5 hours. And the foreign language is 120 minutes, which is 2 hours. This is a traditional model which is followed across most of the places. Now, of late, there is a new model that's been adopted by a few provinces within China. What does it mean? You have Chinese, mathematics, foreign language, physics or history, and 2 elective subjects. So this were added, because of which what is 9 hours has become now 10 hours 15 minutes, because they cut down some of these things here, because like physics or history only 75 minutes, because these, remember, it's 2.5 hours, right? So this 2.5 hours has now become 75 plus 75 plus 75, because we are also taking 2 electives. It means if you're dealing with science, you might take physics, chemistry, and biology or zoology or something else. If you're doing art, then you can take arts and history and something else. So instead of taking only one subject here, which is arts and has a overarching reach and a wider gamut of studies, they actually split that into 3 subjects, which is what? Your electives and your physics or history or whatever is concerned. So what is 2.5 hours here? Here, if you now notice, has become about 3 hours 15 minutes. Based on this, the approximate time is 9 hours spread over 3 days. Like the current set is from June 7th, 8th, and then this comes on June 9th, right? And similarly, so you're actually dealing with about 2 to 4 hours. This is 9 hours, by the way. This is 10 hours 15 minutes. It's not 9 hours, but this 10 hours 15 minutes. So that is what we're dealing with in the new model that they're doing, because some provinces wanted more specializations, which is where the electives came in, and students choose the electives and give an examination on that. But remember, it's a single sitting examination. When a student is taking an examination in mathematics, all the 13.5 million students are taking the examination in mathematics. If someone is taking an exam in Chinese, all the 13.5 million students are taking the test. And that is a big difference here. It's a single sitting examination. Over 3 days is what it is spread. Like our examination over 3 hours 20 minutes for NEET and 3 hours for JEE Main. Here it's about 9 hours, which is why I said it's a test of endurance. You really need to be consistent, fast, and the stress level that you face would be very, very high here. I'll also tell you the kind of precautions that the government takes and the people and the communities and the parents and students take when they're going through this examination. It is very, very rigorous. And which is where I think we need to learn from China of some of these things, right? Now, what is it? Operational scale of Gaokao, right? We talked of 13.5 million, 1.5 million, 23 lakh. The number of centers for this is 7,899. But 3,55,000 rooms plus 21,000 backup rooms. So we're dealing with about 3,75,000 rooms where this test is conducted. 3,75,000 rooms. Now you just work backwards for a moment and say there are 7,899 centers, or let's assume 8,000 centers and 3,55,000. Look at the number of rooms that a class would have, a center would have. That's also something for you to understand, right? You actually have 8,000 centers and you're dealing with this one. So now if you look at that, every center has about 50 plus rooms, about 50 kind of rooms, right? Whereas our centers would have 10, 12 and download, which is where the number of centers might be higher, but the number of rooms are lower, so you actually spread yourself thin, right? And we do it in 390 cities, in about 15 international cities, we do this examination. And I remember JEE Main is about, I don't know about the number, but this one has 5,400 centers. NEET has 5,400 centers. JEE Main is conducted over multiple sessions. That's because it's computer-based testing, and CBT, we don't have enough centers because we actually have to deal with computer labs and everything and actually adopt that, which is where if you think of JEE Main, the 1.5 million students who take that examination do it over 5 days, over 2 sessions each. So we're dealing with 10 sessions, which means we're dealing with about 1.5 lakh students to not more than 2 lakh students sitting per one session. Because the capacity that we have is only so much. The moment you bring in computer-based testing, the capacity that this country has is only so much that you cannot do computer-based testing in one single sitting across the board. It might bring in transparency or tighter control over the examination paper, but it doesn't absolve you of the fact that every student is having a different paper and you're judging them through normalization process, right? But this is the number, we are dealing with this, and the total number of invigilators that they have is 1.05 million. So about 1 million plus people are actually checking that examination and everything and how it's happening, because we're dealing with 3,55,000. So anyway, you're dealing with at least 2 people per session and those kind of things. So 1.05 million invigilators actually sit through the examination for Gaokao. That is the size and scale of this particular operation. Now the thing, what are the security measures? This is very, very important, because the question that we are always asking is, How is it that Gaokao in single sitting across 13.5 million students have been conducted and there is no paper leak? And how is it that NEET has that problem? It is to do with the architecture. In India, when a NEET paper leaks, it is seen as a malpractice. It is seen as cheating. It is very ordinary. In China, the Gaokao examination paper is treated as state secret. The moment you put that stamp of state secret, the psychology changes. You will be charged for treason. You will be charged for sedition. And that is what happens. So what they do is the paper securities, Gaokao question papers are treated as state secrets under China's state secrecy framework. That's the first thing. So the punishment is so enormous, so severe that no one dares to go near that. That's because assuming something happens, just imagine if 2.3 million students traveling all over again to take the examination is a trauma for us. Just imagine 13.5 million students going through the entire cycle all over again over 3 days. They can't take that risk. So it's treated as a state secret under China's state secrecy framework. The paper leakage is considered a serious criminal and national security breach. So this is again important, national security breach. It is not a simple malpractice. It is not something where people go, for 1 year, 2 years. No, it is a national security breach, not merely an exam malpractice. So the architecture, the framework, the thinking, the vision about this examination is so different as compared to what we have for NEET. Then the anti-cheating laws. China has criminalized organized cheating in national examinations, with severe cases leading to jail terms. National fairness, paper leaks are viewed as attacks on national fairness and social trust because of the national security breach that we're talking about. The pre-exam crackdown. What do the pre-exam crackdown mean? The authorities clean the online ecosystem before exams by removing fake accounts, monitoring exam-related content, and regulating coaching agents. So what they're doing now is any social media account that is there, where a paper is coming in and all, there's a crackdown on that. They don't take it lightly. And because there's a crackdown, no one dares to open a Instagram account or some account and start sharing papers or talk of programs like Paper Leak, Paper Out and all, which some of the big coaching institutions in this country also have done. They can't do that because assuming you start that, there is an iron hand that comes down and ensures that it is removed and cleaned. And there's an action against the people who are doing that. So no one can bluff their way into the ecosystem or for clickbait or for having some kind of a audience on your thing. There is nothing that is possible there because the pre-exam crackdown means authorities clean the online ecosystem before exams by removing fake accounts, monitoring exam-related content, and regulating coaching agencies. Then the exam center security. Local authorities monitor areas around exam centers and crack down on cheating, equipment sales, and impersonation. Organized cheating prevention measures target middlemen, cheating networks, corrupt insiders, impersonators, and online rumor circulation. So even as an online rumor, it is stopped. We're not taking it lightly, right? And core philosophy, China attempts to prevent paper leaks by treating examination papers as highly confidential state-controlled material. This is very crucial, highly confidential and state-controlled material. And that is very, very crucial. What happens after the examination is different, but what happens before the examination is what they're always working on. So this is the way, you look at the anti-coaching mechanism and the security that they have, they cracked it because these two are there. That will ensure that there is equity and fairness, and this ensures that there is transparency. The students who are taking the examination know that the examination system is not compromised. The integrity of the examination is not compromised. Now to the next level. What are the subjects covered in? Already told you about that. The mandatory subjects is Chinese, mathematics, and foreign language. And the optional is science stream is physics and chemistry and biology. Art stream is geography, history, and politics. And they might have added a few more subjects as we move along because the electives have come up in the non-traditional model only recently. Right? But this is compulsory. That's very important. For us in JEE Main, when you take JEE Main, you don't even study biology and zoology on the other side. If someone is doing medical, you don't even study mathematics on the other side. But math, Chinese, and one foreign language is compulsory for this examination. And that is very, very crucial for the development of the society and the development of the country also. So this I already explained, physics, chemistry, and maths is what we do, and NEET, physics, chemistry, botany, and zoology is what we do, right? Now, what are the difficulty level? I told you earlier that, this is about endurance. So there is accuracy. Gaokao requires accuracy, speed, and stamina. Because it's over 9 hours or 10.5 hours over 3 days. It's not a one-time enter and go. It is 3 times of what we go through JEE Main or NEET. 3 times spread over 3 days or at times 2 days. So when you have that, it requires a lot more stamina than what you otherwise have, right? So you need accuracy, you need speed, and not just intelligence, requiring extensive memorization and application status. Gaokao rewards consistency. So the more consistent you are, the more score you will get. It doesn't require, reward brilliance at times where in sparks of brilliance and all. It requires consistency for you to crack Gaokao. JEE Advanced is of course emphasis, but by the way, JEE Advanced also is seen as one of the most toughest exams in the world. Whereas this is seen as the longest examination in the world or the largest examination in the world, JEE Advanced is seen as the toughest examination in the world because it emphasizes on deep conceptual understanding and problem solving. And NEET focuses on conceptual clarity, speed, accuracy, and intensive practice-based problem solving. So there is a bit of a difference between this, and there is a similarity between this and this. Because memory-based, all those things are there. What's the preparation time? Gaokao typically students start in class 10th and really peak up in class 12th, which is similar to what you have for JEE and NEET also. So not much difference there. Some people, like in India, some people might start in class 5th itself and all. That's it. Aberration. Our experience, our understanding of how success of the coaching works is when you start in class 11, you succeed far better. And if anyone is telling you in class 5th itself a coaching thing, you are not likely to succeed because at some point in time there is a burnout amongst the students and they don't succeed. So when we did a study of all the students who got into IITs and we got a sample of about 2,000-3,000, what we realized is most of them studied for 2 years to crack that examination. And the 3-year, 5-year students were missing there, which simply means that even assuming someone has gone through a 3 and 5 year thing, they've not cracked the examination because of which they're not sitting in the IIT ecosystem. That's something that we realized, right? So they start in grade 10, and the same thing is this 2 to 5 year and typically requires 1 to 3 years. So everything is about 3 years is what we're talking about. Now, when the examination happened, I told you it is treated as a national event. So the communities, the provinces, the colonies, everyone gathered together to ensure that the student is protected, the examination is protected, the integrity of the examination is protected. So what do they do? For example, they have construction bans. When the exam happens, during the examination time, 10 days before and all, they actually impose a construction ban. No construction around the area where the examinations are there, or not just examination, wherever. Because if the student is there, he shouldn't be disturbed because there is some construction happening there. So during the Gaokao, all noisy construction activities within a certain radius of exam centers are halted. This includes roadworks, building projects, and even repairs to avoid distractions. That's the kind of importance that they give to the examination and the student. In our case, we'll actually be having an exam center and there'll be an alcohol center next door. Of course, that is also banned, but you still find a way out. But there is a lot of disturbance at the center level also. Then the traffic restrictions. Traffic police enforce no horn zones around test centers, and some cities reroute traffic to reduce noise levels. So, the one-way, two-way, all those things are taken care of so that the student is protected, the student is not disturbed, and student can concentrate. Then community support. Local neighborhoods are asked to maintain low noise levels. So no parties, no clubbing, with residents often showing incredible solidarity by avoiding loud activities like celebrations or gatherings. Look at the way the entire community gets together to ensure that the student is in a safe zone, in a zone where he can concentrate and study and crack that examination. It is not just the government's responsibility. Everyone actually participates, partakes, and ensures that this happens. Then the next thing, there are oxygen stations. This is very, very important. In high altitude zones, what happens is high schools provide oxygen tanks or zones, especially in high altitude regions, to combat fatigue and improve focus. Right? In high altitude zones, people are fatigued because they study so well, and it's over 3 days also the examination. People do struggle at times. To actually have oxygen stations where students can go sit there, breathe, and then come out. Then there are rest zones, which are quiet, calming rooms equipped with refreshments, help students to take mental breaks during intense study periods. If you're studying seriously, then there is a rest zone where you can go sit there. There is refreshment, you can eat, you can rest there. There is complete silence, and then you come back when you actually are rested. Then air quality control. In some urban areas, factories are temporarily shut down to ensure better air quality during the Gaokao, especially in regions prone to pollution. Then factories are shut down because student has to be protected. And then cooling measures. In regions with extreme summer heat, air conditioning is installed or upgraded in exam centers to keep students comfortable. Just look at the extent they go to make sure that the student is in a safe zone, in a good zone, is in a happy zone, is able to concentrate, is not fatigued, is well rested, he doesn't suffer mental distress. Look at what the extent, no noise, no clubbing, no loud partying, no factories open, no loud noise, traffic rerouted, no horn zones, no construction. Can you imagine that? But China does that. Now, the other thing, special transportation. For students running late or facing emergencies, cities deploy special Gaokao buses or even police escorts to ensure they reach the exam centers on time. So if you're stuck somewhere, there is an escort that is leading you to the exam center. You just have to say, I'm a student, I'm stuck here, and there's a police escort that will lead you with his horn blaring to ensure that, not horn blaring, but to ensure that you reach the exam center. Right? Then the medical teams, ambulances are stationed near test centers. That's very compulsory. Every exam center will have an ambulance next to it for emergencies such as stress-induced illness, fainting, or dehydration. And then lastly, the counseling support. Mental health professionals are often available to assist students dealing with anxiety or stress. So they do everything possible to make sure that the most important event for the student is conducted without any external influence which actually harms the prospects of a student. Right from equity to fairness to justice to transparency to noise levels to clubbing to anxiety to stress to oxygen levels, everything. They take care of those things. And then the first Gaokao, by the way, came in 1952. Right. And the Gaokao is the sole criteria for admission, as I told you, everywhere. And by the way, acceptance to top universities. I told you about this university, Peking University or Tsinghua University, is 0.1%. But overall, when you see it, 80% of the students get into some college or other. About 10 million plus students get into some colleges or other. Some undergrad, about 5 million. Then you actually have normal colleges. And then you also have vocational institutes. And what are the security measures? We talked of thing. The security measure, facial recognition, metal detectors, radio signal jammers, drones are monitoring the examination through and through. And SWAT teams guard exam papers during transit, ensuring no breaches. And strict cheating can be lead to 7 years of imprisonment under Chinese law. So very, very strict about any cheating and ensure that the exam paper moves into each of the centers in very, very confidential, state secret way, where police escorts actually lead that examination. Now, what is community and or parental involvement? How are they involved themselves? That's another thing, because we talked of what provinces do, what governments do. What do community and parents do? A lot of parents, what they do is they book a hotel closer to the center, much closer to the examination. So hotels for parents and students, many families book nearby hotels to reduce travel stress, creating a surge in bookings months before the examination. So they move to a hotel closer to the examination center. Then volunteers offering help. Local community groups and businesses often provide free food, water, or even umbrella services to families waiting outside test centers. Pre-exam motivation. Some schools hold pep rallies or play motivational music to inspire students. And then relaxation technologies. Yoga and meditation sessions are introduced in the schools and colleges. So they do everything, as I keep saying, the scale at which they operate, the solidarity with which they operate, the way they actually come together to ensure that the student is in the best zone possible to crack this examination is enormous. It is not a student's examination, it is a nation's examination. The entire nation gets together to make sure that this happens correctly. So the reason why I actually had told you about all these things is simple. That we talk of NEET and the paper leakage and the fact that in our country, it is difficult to actually have a pen and paper test across 2.3 million students across 5,500 centers. But here is China, which is getting together, actually creating an examination which is taken by 6 times what NEET takes in a pen and paper mode, and they succeed. Because of the architecture, because of the vision and the objective that they go after. It's a state secret. It's when the student is studying, everything else stops. No noise, no pollution, nothing. The way the nation gets together, and not just the government or the provinces, but even the people, the parents, the communities, the schools, the colleges, the businesses, the way they get together to make sure that this most important examination of a student is done the right way, where there is no external influence for them to actually have any negative influence on its performance, is something which is very, very exemplary. Can we learn from China? I don't know. Can we execute at the efficiency level of what China is? I surely know, but I don't want to say it here. But one thing is for sure, China does it at a scale which India has failed to do over the past many years. And this, the policymakers, NTA and everyone must look at themselves to understand why is it that we could not do it. when our neighboring country is about to do it. Thank you so much. Namaste, and please do subscribe BTech 360 and Medical 360. Thank you so much.